guess you can sit up here too if you wish. I don't. I think she wants to make sure that our voices get carried into the recorder. I brought a set of these SCADA upgrade. I didn't know if you.
Yeah,
We might need those.
we might have some questions
10
there.
o'clock.
Right. Good, are you?
And then Highway will be here, we can send a message, so.
Okay. Think we ought to wait till they get here? Probably. Well, I'm Gene Spears. The gentleman to my left is Chris Durkee, and to my right is Cody Green, Rural Development. I guess Victor will be here and the mayor will be here, and we'll get things started. How many of you did you notice that this American Iron and Steel documentation was not in your packets?
Yes.
You noticed that?
Notice that.
Okay, and this will come out in an addendum. Why it
Oh,
didn't
it is
get,
gonna be required.
yes.
It does state in every section though.
What's that?
It does state in every section, like your piping and every piece of equipment, it states AIS.
Yeah, it's,
Mayor, are
it's
you?
fairly explicit in here what's required and what's exempt.
You sit here?
It is.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah,
Pumps are obviously exempt,
yeah, they're exempt.
Seen you in a while.
and essentials associated with pumps.
Yeah. We have the illustrious Mayor Ira
Go
Hawkins.
ahead, guys.
Yeah, okay, that just-
No, I wanted to make sure this is, it'll be in an addendum. I don't know why it didn't get printed.
that just- I went looking for it, didn't find it, so I
Yeah.
says I don't have to worry about it.
It's still in play.
Still in there. We have the state wage determination. We also have the federal wage determination. You found those in the specifications, fine. Now, I guess the thing I want to do is open it up for any questions that anybody has relative to the plan, the specifications, or the intent of construction. Who wants to be first?
Might as well start on the wages.
What's that?
Say we might as well start on the wages. Is
Okay.
it heavy highway the whole job, or heavy highway for the lift station, building steel inside the fence?
I can't answer that at this point. I can assume that it's heavy and highway throughout, but don't take my word for it.
And
How
ro-
much difference is there between heavy and highway and,
Oh, $10 an hour.
how much?
$10 an hour.
Really? Building and trades.
Yeah.
No, on electrical, we're never heavy highway.
What's
Right.
that?
I said on the electrical side, we're never heavy highway for the lift stations or the plant,
Right.
which I assume would hold with this job. But
Just
that
prevailing
difference would be
wage.
a bigger
Yeah.
gap.
You see, they've got two levels of wage. They've got building and trades and
Right.
heavy and
And
highway.
of course, mainly most of that's gonna be because of CDBG.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't really have wage
Right.
requirements. I mean, RD is gonna say that, you know, if it's just RD funding, you gotta follow the state requirements.
Well,
But,
His question is, I don't think they know which
it's
government
heavy
what.
highway on sewer mains, and then building scale is sewer
Within the
plants
plant.
Within the fence line.
Right, right. That's the old rule that I remember
It's
also.
still that way, written that
Right.
way, but
Yeah.
like Miller, we bid it building scale, but then the DNR made us go to heavy highway.
Really?
At a lower, at
Oh,
what,
yeah, trust me, $67,000
more or
in
less?
labor.
Was heavy, you went from building and trades down to
Now, we
heavy,
went from building trades to heavy.
up to heavy and highway.
Which was a lot.
Why did Department of
Cause DNR's got some in handbook that said that on certain,
Okay.
well, it was SBR fund, it's different
That's,
fund.
it was, yeah.
Okay.
SRF.
Okay.
SRF funds.
SRF funding is what it called out for, that's the deal. No,
But to this day, I've still never seen the handbook and nobody knows where the fund's at.
yeah,
But
that's
they
why I
require
asked the question, what's DNR doing, making those announcements, I'll put it that way. You would think that the, Department of Labor Relations would be the one that would be the official, but,
Right.
DNR sometimes makes those statements. If, I guess my only comment would be to err to the conservative. I can't really be definitive and tell you yes, no, this, that. You've had your experience with it, just err to the conservative and
Well, we're not using that funding here, are we?
what
It's
funding
not
is that?
SRF.
This is not SRF. This is rural development and the community development block grant.
Their rule is, what they told me was, use the higher of the two, whether it's state or federal.
Yeah.
For
The higher
CDBG,
of the two is always heavy highway.
Yeah.
It's actually the higher of the three.
Between federal and state, use the higher of the two, yeah. This is what happens, yeah. Anything else on labor rates? Next question, anybody?
The electrical service, generator, whatnot, the main plant, transfer switch, what bid item do you want that placed on?
But what now?
The generator and transfer switch, which bid item do we want that put under?
Oh,
That was one of the questions
yeah,
early on.
yeah. I was looking at that and, let's see. I was looking at
I originally had put it under item G, and then I think we had to
Yeah.
change some of those,
I was gonna put it under one of the others.
yeah.
We've got the let's see, I need to, where is our generator for the lift station?
It's,
Well, we're moving the generator from the plant down to the lift
Right.
station, so I don't know.
B13,
Okay.
B13,
yeah, well, yeah. Remove existing generator from treatment plant, relocate to lift station.
Well, we could add another line item. I don't,
We got plenty of that.
huh?
there's plenty there to break out, isn't there?
That was my next question.
That may be the best on that, cause it, it's kind of its own, it has to do with all of it. but
Yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
its own.
Yeah, see, I could put it in this G, F, or F.
Just add it to F.
Yeah, make it an F5.
Yeah, that probably would be the best.
Yeah, we can do that, put it in on F5, just have another for the lift station and. How come I left that out, Chris?
I think when we redid all of the numbers, it was a G.
Yeah, okay, we'll get you another page for that in the addendum.
And a pad detail
Yeah, and the pad detail up on the,
for the new generator.
for the new generator. I'll just put the generator pad and everything in
Mhm.
one bid item.
Generator WWTS and PAD.
Yeah.
On,
Yep.
another electrical question, from the proposed service pole, to the building or to the transfer switch, it's got a routing shown on here that kinda, to me, looked a little specific. Is that by design, or is it?
We don't know what's underground there,
Yeah.
what crosses. You can look on the old drawing that
Yeah.
we put in there, but it's still a guess.
Okay,
And we just tried to,
you just felt like that maybe the best path is to go up and then.
with the piping that's under
Yeah.
there and
Okay.
stuff. But, I mean, once you get it opened up, you'll be able to determine if you can go shorter route.
So it wouldn't matter
Uh,
if we,
No, it doesn't matter if you can get a shorter route and not hit anything.
okay,
Yeah, one of the things I was gonna issue a voice of caution on is there's a lot of lines out there existing now. You guys understand that. I was just gonna say, take some effort if you're doing the job to spend a little time trying to find out where some of that pipe work and conduit are at, so that, I don't know, what you can do other than excavate or just using some ground penetrating radar or something like that, but the only records we've got are what the old as-built record drawings show, and that's the only thing we've got to go on. But just use some caution. What else?
My understanding is that all the panels go into one category.
All the what?
One category,
Your control panels,
all the control panels for the pump. So the 5 panels.
yeah.
I just wanna make sure. Now, typically, I put floats, even though they're tied to the panel, in with the pumps. Do you want the floats with the panels, or do you want them with the pumps as an accessory?
I don't think that,
What I say on C7, well, that's not, we wanna go, you're talking about the
Each of the lift stations.
lift
pump-
station, yeah.
Each of the, lift stations and dry pits.
Yeah.
Well, there's no floats on dry pits, but on the lift
Right,
stations,
right.
the 3 lift stations, there are floats on. Now, I have the float bracket on 2 of the 3 in with the pumps,
Yeah.
because obviously that's part of
and
the
that's,
wet well.
that's fine,
Okay,
really. I mean,
it's minor, but I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
thought I would clarify.
because the electrician will probably be installing those or the general.
Now, I do have a question about control of the, wet well pumps. Do you want the SCADA system controlling the wet well pumps, or do you want the wet well pumps controlled by the floats, and the floats then communicating back to the SCADA system?
That's how we've got it drawn, I believe.
Yeah.
If you go to the wiring schematic drawing,
Yeah,
and that's on the drawing 21,
yeah,
the 210 horsepower and the 225s are all shown on the same page.
You see,
And-
there wouldn't be any need for the operator to control those pumps.
No, all he's gonna do
remotely
is
or
monitor
on-
them.
They can control them on site by hands-off
On-site.
automatic.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
as long
I
as,
assume that, I
yeah,
just wanted
yeah,
to clarify.
yeah,
Yeah.
you made the right
I mean,
assumption there, yeah,
that's all I wanted
yeah.
to clarify, because,
Let's see what I've got here on. Well, you're gonna be quoting your equipment to the different contractors, and I guess it's up to the contractors as to where they want to put
okay,
your material, et cetera. The only thing we're saying is that on B12, we say all electrical work, equipment and wiring for lift station, vertical trash screen, and relocated generator complete and in place. So,
there is a category
It says all electrical work, equipment and wiring
Yeah,
for lift
yeah,
station.
that's where I was gonna put the
Yeah,
panels.
well, yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
that's what I thought that the bidder would
Okay,
put all that he had received from the suppliers.
Typically, we kinda like to see the supplier furnish the control panel and the pump
Yeah,
as a package.
yeah,
There's gonna be a lot of stuff you have to furnish out in the plant, wastewater plant. But you're gonna furnish the dry pit control panels and the dry pit pumps, right, Dan?
yes,
Yeah,
oh, yes,
Yeah.
all panels,
Yeah,
all pump
yeah.
accessories.
yeah.
most
I'm
of
not
the,
getting involved in piping.
yeah,
No,
most of those are combination motor starters, Ryan, that are scattered throughout.
Yeah.
We're just out of space inside the lab
Yeah.
to add anything.
Okay, Gene brought up about the American Iron and Steel Act. Just want a clarification. The VFDs that are in the dry pits, panels,
Mhm.
are they something we have to worry about, the American Iron and Steel Act, or is that?
I don't think
exempt
so.
as well?
I don't
That-
think so.
That should be exempt,
Nothing electrical.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so nothing electrical.
I have not, and the last iron and steel was Caney, Kansas, and, there just wasn't anything, the electrical panels and things like that were all outside.
Okay, good. I just wanted to
And I
clarify
think that's
that.
what this,
I know about the pumps and all that, and the
Yeah,
panels.
yeah,
are
but
something
electrical
I
is-
wasn't sure about.
has always been,
It's towards the back, I think.
Huh?
It's towards the back, I think there's an
yeah,
example of.
Good.
there's a whole list of things.
Oh, good.
And again, I'll see if I can't make sure you get a list of all this. There's the letter.
Got a couple required, the unistrut and the connectors and the anchors and stuff like that on the electrical side. But other than that, I think for the most part, electrical's been exempt.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right.
Here it says examples of non-construction materials includes but not limited to. Note, includes appurtenances necessary for their intended use and operation and are not subject to AIS. Pumps, motors, gear reducers, drives, electric, pneumatic, manual accessories, mixers, gates, motorized screens, controls and switches, sensors. What else? There's a whole list of them here that,
Good, good.
that I'll make sure. I'm sorry, I have to apologize. I don't know why this was not included in the print when we made the prints up, but we'll make sure you get them.
Chris, who's the SCADA integrator?
Okay, we bid that out earlier this year,
Yeah.
to ACS. Travis is going to be building,
Okay, so
he'll be building all the RTUs. He was going to go ahead and put in the new SCADA system at the plant. And in order to do that, we would have had to take down the old system. And it's a black box and nobody has the program. So for him to do that, he would have had to rewrite another program. And it just didn't make sense, so we're gonna wait
Yeah.
till we get to that point. But he's already got the RTUs.
Alright.
He's furnishing all the equipment. He'll be installing the RTUs and the wiring and what have you, like normal. It's just that he's already been awarded that.
I would, unless anybody has another question. Anybody? Go ahead.
On bid day, bid form, can we do just lump sum A, B, C, D yet? And then fill in the rest later, or? Do you want
Well,
one item?
what's gonna count is the total amount.
Right.
If you have a subtotal, let's say on part B, what's the difference? What keeps you from filling the rest of it in?
Just timeframe.
You have to know what it is, I guess. It's your figures, but I don't know, I like to see them filled out, really I do.
Our engineer's gonna wanna see it.
Huh?
Our engineer's gonna wanna see it.
Yeah, he's gonna wanna see what your units are. And we'll prepare a tabulation of bids, and the individual bid items will be included in that tabulation. So we'd like to have the item
There's
filled
things
in.
that are probably irrelevant to you, but on the funding side, cause of
Yeah.
federal regulations,
Well, I'm not saying we
what
won't
can be
fill it in, I'm saying.
correct, but what
Just
can be
not doing
funded with
bid
certain
day, we
pots
fill it
of
in.
money, so.
2 days later,
Well, the thing of it is, what we say in the notice to bidders and elsewhere is that the items are supposed to be balanced. And we have no way of making an indication of a balanced bid if we don't have all the figures. It's just a formality, but it's what we ought to follow if we can. And if you wanna just write them in with a ballpoint or whatever, you know, an hour before you turn it in, that's fine.
I've seen a lot of.
Yeah, as long as we've just got it filled, I just like to have them complete. That way there's no guesswork afterwards. One thing that I would ask is that you give some consideration as to what your schedule of construction of the different parts is gonna be, because we've got to keep the plant in operation. That's understood, of course. But, you know, we'll probably, whomever is the successful bidder, we'll probably have a pre-construction conference. And we'll need to get an idea of how this construction is gonna progress, which you're gonna start first and things like that, so that the operator of the treatment plant can have some idea as to how he is gonna manage his facility, okay? Just a note,
So along with that, I guess I do have a question.
okay?
Components, transfer switch, generator, panels,
Delivery.
yeah, just the delivery date, you know, we're seeing it where it's a year. So I guess that's livable.
Well, I think that I have allowed, what was it, 400 and, how many days did I allow? Huh?
420.
420 or 480? Can't remember myself.
I mean, I guess.
That's one of the reasons I allowed that length of time, was try to
Right.
anticipate
Yeah,
delivery time on equipment.
The bad part about that, of course, is you have to leave the old generators in place until the new one arrives.
Yeah.
Before you can,
yeah, there's just not a lot, especially at the main plant, that you can do
right,
ahead of. I mean, you can rough in the individual, you know, conduit
Sure.
systems, all that, but, I mean, what we're seeing now is the promise of panels and generators delivered in October are now March. I mean, we're
Of the
even
next
losing
year.
from the
Yeah.
original predicted dates.
Right.
And I think it's getting worse.
it is.
Just, I guess it is what it is, though. I mean, everybody's in the same boat.
Well, that's what I run into for the last 2 years,
Yeah.
3 years, is contractors being constrained in completing the work because they can't get their equipment.
Yeah.
I called up to Pennsylvania one time and asked a supplier, I said, why can't you get those gears down to the so-and-so? And he said, said, the governor shut us down, we're not essential. So that's, you know,
Yeah.
that's what you have to deal with. Now, I was trying to find here in this voluminous, where our,
How long did it take to get the one in Lamar? Wasn't it like 8 months?
Generator? Yeah, like 8 months.
8 months, and that was early.
I got a couple that are worse than that.
Yeah.
Can't even get an answer when they are coming, so.
Right.
That's the frustrating part.
Then when you get them, they don't work.
On page 12 of the bid form C1410, we notice there's attachments to this bid. You might want to take a look at those for sure. Make sure that those attachments are included with your bid. Following documents are submitted with and made a condition of this bid, and they give a list of things.
Speaking of delivery,
Say again?
speaking of delivery, when do you anticipate, given your 400 and some days, when pumps and panels will be ordered? Because obviously we don't have the lead time that generators have.
Well, the contract documents establishes when the contract starts, and there's 480 days in there to complete the work. But your question is, when do we anticipate?
Placing the order by the contractor. The reason I'm bringing
Well,
this up is,
okay, here's the way I believe I can answer your question is that, the contractor the bidder is supposed to provide us the name of the manufacturer that he's including in his bid.
yeah,
Okay. Once the contract is signed, and once per the agreement, the contract starts, I would think that that's when the suppliers would be notified that their equipment needs to be offered by submittal. So as early as possible is what I'm gonna say.
okay. The reason I'm bringing it
Sure.
up is because of what our manufacturers are throwing price increases that has
I don't doubt,
unbelievably.
I don't doubt.
Yeah.
And if this thing stretches out 6 months, there's gonna be another price
No, I know,
increase.
I know.
And that's why I'm bringing it
Yeah.
up.
Well,
Yeah.
we find some immediate.
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as you get your submittals in,
Okay.
they turn them around,
Yeah, we'll turn them around as quick as we can get them.
so it's been
Yeah.
livable.
Our
Okay.
problem is we have to fund all this equipment and we don't get it for a year, so we're out.
Yeah.
I gotta figure
Yeah.
something out on that, cause we're having to start, we gotta pay 30% before they'll even.
Yeah.
They want 10%
Understood.
before they'll start submittals, and
Yeah.
then they want another 20, and we don't get paid till the stuff's on the job site, so we
Yeah.
got $80,000 out there,
Yeah.
you know.
With nothing to show.
Chris, do you know if there's a pull box detail in here for that main pull box at the plant? Is it just not a quasi, but a Sherlock type box?
Yeah,
What's that?
I don't think it's in the specs anymore.
Yeah.
I tried to pull
Yeah,
that
I've
under
done
the,
that in the past, if they'll give me a
I was thinking I put it
document
on,
that says it's in warehouse and it's.
Pictures.
towards
Yeah.
the back.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
So that can speed up reimbursements.
if
Yeah, we've
not,
done
that's
that on a
something we
number of
can
instances.
put in an addendum so you know what to look at.
What's that?
Oh, there's a pull box up at the main part of the plant. And I don't know if I showed that detail or not.
Okay.
It sits outside the lab building there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It'll be a standard type that we usually use.
Concrete,
Yeah.
skillet.
Yeah.
Is the creek where the lift station is it dry for summer?
Do what?
The creek by the lift station, does
What?
it dry up in the summer or is it?
It'll dry up and then it'll flood and then it'll dry up. No, I'm serious. It comes up from Whitaker Holler back up to the southeast here. And if it's dry like it was this summer, it dried up. Yeah, it'll dry up.
I mean, we're gonna hit water regardless, being in the rock, but, you know.
Say what?
I said, we're gonna hit water regardless, being in the rock, but.
Yeah,
creek not running
I don't
well.
know, I don't recall factually whether or not they noted when they did the test bore, as to whether they had any water.
I think they noted just little moisture, but
Nothing to come up
no, it didn't.
real high, real quick. That's what I remember. You're gonna hit something down there on top of that ledge.
Right.
But yes, in fact, up until we got rain these last 2 or 3 weeks, there wasn't any water running in that little stream.
Gene, earlier this summer, we had a water leak on the east side of the bridge, and I was 13 feet deep and it was dry.
It's 13 feet deep already, yeah.
I was probably 4 feet below the bottom of the creek now.
Yeah, yeah. Any questions regarding the sequence of construction of the lift station additions and improvements? Straightforward? Okay. Okay. Anybody have any other questions, comments? I hope that we've been able to answer them.
What about paint specs? Are you gonna put any out? 'Cause I know.
No, when you say paint, I think we've got the protective coatings, on the inside of the tanks, on the clarifier. Stainless steel launder troughs.
I mean, there'll be a lot of pipes to paint.
What's that?
Said there'll be a lot of pipes to paint. but-
Yeah. I don't want, Tennemic, Sherwin-Williams, they all make excellent paints. A pipe enamel is whomever you want to use as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to get overly wordy about paint specs when we're dealing with just protective coatings instead of like coatings on the inside of a water treatment plant or something like that, water tank. On the wage rates, the filing of the wage rates reports to the city, we want to make sure that those are kept up to date. Because we never know when someone would want to come to City Hall and look at the records of wage rates.
That's definitely a big CDBG thing. I don't want to speak
Yeah.
on behalf of Sue, but
Yeah,
me, RD standpoint, once a contract's awarded, it's not very much, it's over $10,000. I notify the Department of Labor, say, hey, we got this contract, it's for this amount. That's all I do. At that point, they could come out if they wanted to and check stuff, but I think from the previous projects I've done, a lot of that, the wage records has to do with CDBG, so, because that's HUD money that comes
Yeah.
down through comes down through the state. So.
they look at it really particularly, and then, of course, the State Board of Labor Relations, they'll have their inspectors come by once in a while, so I'm just saying that, just make sure they're kept current. I've had some instances, for some reason, they'd be back, a month behind, and that causes problems.
That's once again, that American iron and steel is important. Once
Yeah.
again, we put it in our documents. We're not regulatory, but the EPA and whoever's involved with that is notified. And I've heard of stories where they can come out and look. So More documentation you have on that, always the
Yeah.
better too.
Yeah. What else? Anything all?
Gene, quick question.
Sure.
How do those wage figures, how would they come to City Hall?
There is a standard form that lists the employee, the number of hours, and the rate at which he was paid. Am I not correct?
Yeah.
It's
The
a sta-
contractor would bring that here?
He is supposed to submit that to the city.
Okay,
With, per email if you can.
okay.
Yeah, it's something that's supposed to be maintained in the city files. Actually, the city is responsible for the accuracy and the payment of those wages. What the contractor's doing is giving you basis for substantiation that you have met the state's requirements.
Okay.
Because it's the municipality's responsibility on payment of wages to make sure that they're done right. Nobody emphasizes this very often, but that's the way it works.
Thank you, Gene, I appreciate that.
Yeah. But as long as you've got a good file, there may be a question as to a rate that was paid to an individual, but they generally don't go any farther than go back to the contractor, am I not right? And make statements or try to get it clarified there. But if you don't have any records in your file, that's the real bad move.
Sure.
What you need is those records in the file. Oh, what else?
Will we be able to go out to the plants after this meeting and?
Sure, you can go out, we can go out there anytime, yeah, 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 yeah. Yep,
Right now, they're currently with DNR.
I'm sorry?
Right now, they're currently with DNR doing an inspection as we speak.
Really?
They're doing
That's
what?
where Victor is. An inspection, DNR is doing an inspection
Oh, really?
right now.
We can go out there and give them a hard time, I
Right,
guess, we could.
exactly, that's what I was hoping you would say.
Bless their hearts. What else would I want to? Any question on the planting of the Austrian pine along the east boundary line and fence? None of that? Okay. The lady that we acquired the 1 acre from wanted to have a barrier. What I thought we could use is Austrian pine. If you know of a, what is that, would be a deciduous plant that really grow up and fluff out, that you can give me another, but I picked Austrian pine for that. Any question regarding the Palmerston and Parrish geotechnical report? Any questions on what they had? If you had a chance to read it yet, I tried to make sure everybody had a copy of it. Just trying to think of anything else I needed to really bring out for someone's consideration. I can't think of anything.
What's the bid date? When will it go to council? Will it be within that 10 days or, I don't know what the contract states, but
We'll have the bid opening on the 19th of January.
A little earlier than that, wasn't it?
19th.
Well, we had to move it.
We moved it.
January 19th.
Yeah. So it'll be at January 19th, and when is your next council meeting? That's on a Thursday, if I believe.
24th.
On the 24th?
24th is our next council
Okay,
meeting, so the Tuesday after.
okay. I'm not sure as to how soon we can get a permission to award from rural development and community development block grant.
Yeah, I don't wanna speak on behalf of Sue, but us, of course, we're gonna have to look at the numbers and make
Yeah,
sure we're within
yeah, the
budget.
budget and the amount of money is going to be a factor. We've had a commitment of so much money, but unless you guys can keep it down below that, well, then that'll really eliminate a lot of problem. But if it does go over the money, we'll have to make arrangements for the additional financing, and that may take a little time. But it would be 5 days, is that what we figured, 5 days before the next city council meeting? But it probably is not gonna come before the council for a decision within 5 days, cause I have to compile all the bids, prepare a tabulation of bids, offer it to the, rural development and community development block grant, get comments back. We'll have to make decisions regarding funding, and then we'll have to receive authorization to award a contract if
It's a concurrence.
it's a concurrence
It's a
to award,
concurrence.
yeah. We can
Or-
always have council action, and I have done this in other instances where we say, the council says, you know, we, with the concurrence of the funding agencies, wish to award a contract to so-and-so, or if
Or
it's our
pending the concurrence.
Yeah.
Mhm.
pending concurrence to the financing agencies. That's what we have done in the past, which has the council's consideration on it, and decision. It's just, that's what they wanna do, pending concurrence or approval from the funding agencies. How long that takes is, you know, dependent upon what the numbers show.
It just goes back to the price increases.
Say again?
It just goes back to the price increases.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
getting a lot of quotes now, they're good for 14 days, so that doesn't really work out that well.
No.
Unfortunately, the bids are good for, what have I got in here? How many days? I can't remember. 45 days?
Should be 90.
90 days, yeah.
Right.
So you're you're hung with 90 days.
Gene, what type of generator are you just looking at out there?
We,
Will it be diesel, or
it'll be a diesel
why would we not go with natural gas?
cost,
Cost, you'll
It's
pay
about
more for a
double.
natural gas.
double the cost for
What if you
the
got a nice one, diesel's not available?
You got a good point.
We've ran into that before, and then on the flip side of that, when a tornado comes through an area and you have gas, first thing that gets shut off, cause homes are gone, is the gas lines.
That was considered at Jasper 3.
And
No, you got a good point on that.
And
It's just-
that's what happened in Joplin. Every Missouri American water and wastewater was shut off that had natural gas, and the generators didn't work. So diesel, we put in a tank big enough to run you anywhere from 24 to 48 hours on standby, and it seems to work out better. It's cheaper. You can use that fuel yearly in some of your trucks, or if you have diesel trucks or tractors, to at least put fresh fuel in it before every winter.
Yeah.
There's some more advantages there, but generator, if it costs $50,000 diesel, it's gonna be $120,000 for natural gas.
They
And it
will-
has to be bigger.
Yeah,
because
they
it
derate
doesn't-
them.
Yeah, they derate.
I have put in generators fueled by natural gas a long time ago at Cherryvale and Caney and Chatopa, and that was a long time ago, but I haven't had, from
Even-
a cost standpoint, anything that would justify the extra cost.
That's what we're running at our number 2 well,
Number two is what?
natural gas.
Natural gas?
The
That's-
phone company runs natural gas on all of their big
Yeah.
generators.
Yeah. How large are they?
I'm not sure theirs is not as big as what I've got at, I think mine's 150 at the well.
150?
This'll be a 250 KW.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it, we're
No.
just saying that we have selected a diesel because that is the least cost.
I just let you know.
Sure,
Since
sure.
we own our own gas system.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, understood. I don't have any, I don't have any preference for diesel, it's just the cost factor that we have to consider. And I don't know how often we've had some times when we've lost power.
Our office, you know, was originally designed with a natural gas generator,
Yeah,
and it was gonna cost, the diesel was 48,000 when we bid it out, and the natural gas generator was 118,000, and then we had to get a 4-inch gas line to it, for the building and the generator to use, and that was another
yeah,
$24,000 to run the. So it's really just a cost thing that we really look at.
I don't have any problem with propane or natural gas, it's just a matter of dollars.
And I think what you've got at the plant now is a diesel, and at the lift station is a diesel.
Yeah,
And that one's going to be available to use, that's at the lift station
Yeah.
somewhere in your system. Cause we're gonna move the old one from the plant down to that first lift station, and then put a new one at the plant, bigger.
but you'll have an extra generator for whatever you want to use it for. Put it on a trailer and move it around if you care to.
Yeah.
It's a good question, good point. Any other question or comment? Well, we've been out this almost an hour, I don't know what else anybody wants to talk about. Mr. Mayor, do you have any?
I don't have anything to say, just appreciate everybody coming out and showing interest in the city of Granby.
Yeah? Good. Lana, do you have any questions or anything that,
No, most of my feelings are with Mr. Green and you, and so.
I guess then that we can conclude the pre-bid meeting and go from